Hey everybody, it's Gina here from Gina Makes It. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I am using this tag right here. It measures 4 1/8 by 8 1/2. It's kind of a larger tag to create a mini journal. It's a very simple project and it's a very fun project and one that I'm going to use to document some embroidery that I have been recently trying to teach myself. So I am primarily using this tag as a base. If you don't have a tag this size, you can easily just make one yourself. It's not that hard, and it is made out of a manila sort of paper, and so it's on the thicker side. It's not as thick as like chipboard, but it's definitely heavier than plain copy paper, maybe more along the weight of cardstock. So I am using a beautiful French wallpaper that I printed out onto some cotton linen paper to give it a little bit of texture. And this image is a freebie in my Patreon subscription. Anybody who is part of any tier received this yesterday as a little April hello. So I am using this image of this woman and then that floral image primarily to build the entire mini journal. I trim her down because I know that I'm going to use her on the inside of this little mini journal. So I went around the perimeter of my tag with some sewing, and I did that before I added the layer of paper to the inside because I didn't want the sewing to show. Sometimes I forget to do that, even though I really like not having it peep through on the other side, and I seem to remember this time, so I did it before I glued down the inside piece of paper. And for the inside piece of paper, I am just using a paper that came from a Hobby Lobby paper pad, and I'm using it because it's a really nice neutral and it just kind of has words on it, and that's what I was looking for. I wasn't yet sure what I was going to do on the inside, but I knew that I wanted something a little bit neutral to blend with this beautiful floral that is going to be on the cover. So I just trim around the perimeter and get my cat off of my craft table finally, and then I go around the edges to glue down just those areas that I didn't get all the way flush to the end. I don't want those to flap up at any point, and so I'm just taking a little bit of care right now to go around the side and make sure that that is all glued down. So once I do that, I take my hole punch once again and I make the final hole at the top. It was already punched through when it came with the tag, and then I did it when I put the first layer on, and now I'm just doing it again after putting the second inside layer. So now I'm trying to figure out, where do I want to use this beautiful lady? And I determined that I'm going to use her on the inside. But before I can figure out exactly how, I need to create the base of my little journal here. And so I'm just measuring the length to get a good idea as to where I'm going to score it. And I don't do it exactly into thirds. I sort of eyeball it just because I knew that one side was going to flap over, and I kind of wanted that side to be a little bit bigger. But you can see that I actually score at 2 3/4, and I just kind of fold that over, and then I don't even really score this other side. I just fold it over and then use my bone folder and kind of make a nice crease. And so I'm trying to see which way is up. So I was just turning it around, and it already looks just so cute and pretty, and it looks like a little wallet to me. But we are going to turn this into a journal, although it would be a really nice envelope or some sort of like a pouch, actually, now that I am looking at it from this vantage point. So there are a lot of different ways that you can go with this. So once I have it pretty much scored and folded, I am going to add my lady to the inside. And so I take her and I kind of roughly measure where she would fit on the inside, and I trim her down and I do a little bit of distressing on her, and by that I just kind of crumple her up. I add a little bit of ink, and once I get her trimmed down to size, I do a little bit of sewing around her perimeter to just add a little bit of texture, and then I end up gluing her on that left panel. Now that she's all ready, distressed, and sewn, I glue her on that left-hand panel like I mentioned before, and I move on to creating my little mini signature. So I'm going to sew my signature right in that crease where I folded her down, and I'm just going to take I'm just going to take one piece of coffee dyed copy paper, and I'm going to trim it down to create 3 pages in a mini signature. And so I do this by very easily measuring the width of that inside panel, and then I just double it, and that is going to be my signature that gets folded in half. And then I measure the height of that panel, and then I cut double the width and then 1 height, and I fold them in half, and I have 3 pages to sew in. And once I do that, I just sew it in like I normally would. I don't even use paper clips because it was so small and so easy to do. It was very, very quick. I actually used a scrap piece of twine too that was just laying on the side of my craft table. It was a very simple creation. So you can see that I finished, and it was a very simple, easy process that didn't require much thought. So I decided to add a little piece of vintage lace to the bottom to create a mini little pocket in case I want to stick anything in there. And once I finish doing this, I add the final piece to my little mini journal, which is a piece of sari silk as the closure. And it really is like its own little journal. It's just so cute. I could see this being sent as Happy Mail. I could see this being included inside of another journal or as like a little Mother's Day gift or something. It's very, very, very versatile and very cute. If you're interested in joining my Patreon subscription to get monthly freebies and access to Gina's journal and behind the scenes extra journaling videos, I'll leave a link below. And as always, thanks so much for supporting my YouTube channel, my little Etsy store, my Patreon, and just everything that goes on with Gina Makes It. I'll see you next time.